Juggernaut.
Juggernaut for Empire, pairing it with like the Centaur. Not so likely, I should say, at level 1, but perhaps at level 3 with level 2 Blade Fury and beyond, you might see Limitless play a little bit more safe, keeping in mind that he could always get jumped by the Jug.
Otherwise, they steal the spot, but I think mainly to deal with it. In this game, you just don't want Shard to destroy. I think that. I'm surprised actually Empire went for the. That. Oh, that score's not. I like his check. Is it really that highly valued?
I'm surprised by this as well. I think Enchantress, like, she's annoying to deal with, but like the biggest way to counter Ench is in the draft, in my opinion. And when you pick her, especially so early on, first pick overall, especially when the enemies have 2 picks immediately to counter, I feel like you'll lose a lot of like the benefit that you could bring. It's not like in the same camp as like a Brood Mother, where like obviously picking a Brood first pick is like pretty game losing for sure. It's not like in that camp, but I don't think it's too dissimilar. I think it follows the same logic, and we'll have Bait actually go for the Watson and Gyro special. Sorry, Watson, Gyro, and Wisp special.
I mean, this is pretty good against Juggernaut because usually outfarms the Juggernaut. Oh, okay, so then Empire's like, let's go for our double core strat. They done this a lot in Upper Division. That's actually all they ran, like a dual core strat where you have 2 win conditions and 2 carry, really. 1 on Smiling Knight and 1 on Depressed Kid. Occasionally they swapped this out for the Invoker, but mostly it was this idea of like Morphling or some of them that can run carry in the mid lane. Depressed Kid's Morphling is insane. He's really good at the hero, and he's very good against the IO Gyro because he burst down the IO relatively. Not bad. I like the idea here for Empire. It's a good way to mitigate for Timbersaw as well. The thing is, now there's a lot more pressure on your supports and your Timbersaw to be able to get on all that pressure and be able to accomplish his goals. Not sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to find himself struggling a little bit for this Morph lane. Especially because you do have a lot of global presence, like you're mentioning with the IO Gyro. Like, you farm really fast. IO on the support, he's kind of underwhelming if you want to try and play him similarly to he's played as a core. But if you just follow around, if you're just tied to the hip of your carry, bringing him regen as he needs, and mostly just using overload as soon as you can, you really actually quite rapidly increase the farm that you can take, and even more so on a Gyro, which is why it's still one of the classic combos, you know? Tiny IO has been long dead. CK IO hasn't been a thing since Tether no longer stuns, but this one has prevailed.
That's true. This combo, which the Chinese used to love, now, because they used to, Zhao used to always say that the Westerners played it wrong, now not the case. The Westerners are the only one that played the combo because our Dota has actually become slower. The Chinese crazy, insane, chaotic fest that Dota has become. So Yu's favorite hero in this league is going to be the Lion, as they pick it up as a last pick. A hero to at least get more pick-off potential, not bad. Only problem, of course, is not strong lane, so if your lanes lose, he's okay. I guess he's okay as a lane. You just need to make sure your lanes go well so you can get that mid-game up and going, so the enemy team doesn't run you.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest concern for him this game. Seiyu, though, is very, I mean, at least to me, what always catches my eye on the line that he plays is that he starts off with the boots almost always, and then he just never buys any regen, so he's got always like a 15, 16, 17 minute Blink Dagger on the Lion. Could be really nice this game to have as well, although because you have the Centaur Stampede, it's going to be mitigated somewhat, because even if you're a Frog, you can still actually move at that Stampede move speed, which is a big reason why we're seeing the Centaur picked so much these days. So it's going to be impactful, but it's going to be really up to Team Empire to all jump in along with this Lion. You do have a Timbersaw who can also follow suit and even chase despite the move speed that you get from the Stampede. So it's not all, you know, completely countered, but I do like the pick overall from Team Empire. I think we need a Dendi hero here, don't we, for Bait?
Templar Assassin.
Choose your hero.
Oh, I like this a lot, actually. Okay, this is pretty decent. I mean, IO Gyro can be really greedy, but I guess you can play with Relocate quite aggressively. It does make your graph much greedier, but seeing Empire did the same thing, you might as well. And TA is much faster win condition than Morphling, so if you play around her, solid, as you can just finish the game before line. She's quite great against Juggernaut, deals well with Morphling because she bursts him down. Sometimes struggles with Timber, but that's not the biggest deal, and similar with Lion. Also, once you get the KBU person on Lion. Pick.
Yeah,
I don't mind this pick, actually. I think
I also really like the pick. I'm curious as to how the mid lane Morphling is going to play. I think, obviously, Morph not receiving any major changes, but, you know, they did kind of mess with attribute shift yet again. That requires mana to be used. I think this isn't going to be much of a problem at all in the mid lane with the amount of regen that you now get. But more of my concern is it's not really your fast. I mean, even if it is a fast activation hero, he's not aggressive in the laning stage, which is, I feel like, what you kind of need to slow down a TA's timings here. And I think if Dendi hits good timings on TA, the game looks really scary for Team Empire, even for Betushara, who was almost unkillable last game.
yeah, that's very true. And I think that's why they also itemized, or they drafted this way. Gyrocopter picking. Almost entirely for that. I mean, I don't think they came into this game with the IO Gyrocopter. I really think they just picked that in the second. What counters Timber Sun, right? We have seen teams try the Monkey before. I didn't love that. I think I was okay, but then the mid game you still suffer. But the Gyrocopter is the most well-known Timber.
Prepare for
We're going to see how they get to put it to use this time around. Winner takes all here in this series. Team Empire currently in third, base I believe down in fifth or sixth. I think they're tied with their 1-2 record with perhaps Fantastic 5. See here if they're going to be able to try and make a run for the upper division promotion. Don't believe it's out of the question for them yet. They would have to take down some pretty difficult opponents, Hellraisers included. But
as long as it's possible. Faith is the last thing you lose.
That's true. Advanced score is going to be the first thing that we might lose here for Team Empire, although I'm not sure. Limitless, he's got a hook stomp, they will connect. Arrow as well, out from TSN. First blood for Watson.
All right, now it's done, bitch.
Watson getting the first blood for Gyrocopter. Actually one of the better carries to give it to, because want the lane to go really well. Not to go for home miss level 1, but that's fine against Timber early. I wonder what build Betushara will go for. Will he try to go for the Timber chain build yet? I guess it's against the Timber. I don't know if it's... I've seen some Timber saws. I mean, Gyro, sorry. I've seen some Timber saws actually not even go armor, go for in the jump. Because that lane is just why play it.
Cast off the lines.
And again, with a Wisp, I think it's not too bad of an option either, to be honest with you, because again, you do farm really quickly with this Wisp. Top lane, Smiling Knight is already cutting down a very nice pathway of trees here. Where Banana, he asks. Wants to return to Monk.
Okay. Not even gonna give that. Another good lane that they have actually is Centaur Marauder lane. I think is pretty solid. I don't like it as much as say honestly at this. It does give some kill potential, particularly the Enchanters, because you can hoof stomp, set up for the arrow. I'm assuming Smiling Knight will always be able to play Fury if you actually hit him with, or almost always. So the stomp plus arrow combo is not too effective. But it should be enough to kill Vanscore once or twice, and as long as you're at least disturbing Smiling Knight.
Yeah, Vanscore already different from the No Fear build, as he's already started off with one of the components for the Medallion, an item that No Fear didn't consider Game 1 or Game 2. Just a quick note there on really much of a difference to be made between the two play styles. I think this time around Vanscore might decide to even go for the mechanism, as mid lane Dendi is holding his own so far against the Morphling.
He's going for the Medallion. I mean, he's just been Vanscore. Like, he doesn't play the I'm gonna be the position 5 that wins. He plays the I'm gonna help my core be big and strong. He's like a good glass of milk.
Is that what Milk says to you?
Yeah. Milk does speak to you?
Usually not. No. My milk is, who knows, maybe it's spoiled, that's why. Seiyu just kind of harassing No Fear, as he's going to try and have a camp spawn, but Seiyu looking like he's not really allowed that to happen. Tushara, Timber Chain here, and the first point in the reactive armor. Be able to pretty easily just kind of walk around here. As nice dodge by No Fear to not get hit with the Earth Spike from Seiyu. Used that one a couple of times. Now is completely out of mana. Needs to stick around to get level 2 so he can actually afford to stay around in this lane a bit longer and be a bit useful. Press Kid ought to have a bottle coming. Yeah, already a bottle. Even Morphling mid laners now opting for the bottle with just how much regen it really gives you picking up the bottle in the mid lane. I wonder if Dendy's gonna build one as well. He has, actually, for the TA.
Makes sense, is a bit model between two. There's the reactive armor level 2 now, so he wants to tank off Watson. Watson, I'm assuming, yeah, he's gonna go for the Rocket Barrage build. Push Petushar in the lane, there we go, now you Rocket Barrage. This is the play. Petushar struggles against this, he has to get away. I'm assuming Petushar might consider like an early bracer or something, and then immediately into the hood, or just rush the hood depending on how bad he thinks. Because with the eternal healing from No Fear as well, because it gives him so much mana, you're always gonna have mana for Rocket Barrage. Because of Petushar's pain here.
Exactly, that's a really good pull by Seiyu. I'm not really sure how he got it. It looked like No Fear actually contested him correctly to try and block the pull, but didn't end up working out. Yeah, plus we always have just almost perma-stick here in this lane. No Fear as well. Watson has already got 10-stick charge, got a big stick on the gyro. Now as Limitless is going first item into the Hood of Defiance, he's not considering anything else. Press Kit just being as efficient as possible here with the Water Rune and his 2 bottle sips back to full HP, just like OS Frog intended. Yeah, it's fully healing as well. Headdress to start off with here for No Fear, so he's just here to make sure he heals Watson. I think this is like his punishment for game 1 and 2 for not building any support items. They're like, now you have to build only support items because we're going to make you play Wisp. Hero doesn't do much else on the support role.
That's very true, actually, mate. He's just a Dunscorn.
He must atone.
The wall. He must atone for his sins of episode green. Maybe. You gotta trust No Fear again. We've seen this couple before, but it failed for them, by the way. So I don't know. Well, we'll see if this time it works out for them. I feel like the response by Empire was good enough here.
The Press Kit, which is a quick little adaptive strike into the strength to deny Dendy a bottle refill.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty solid. But still, he is... Like, the lane is going constantly well for the TA. Morphling is okay against TA. Bottom lane, by the way, we see Petushar stuck in the Rocket Barrage zone. We have Magic Stick, so Watson could follow up. But Seiyu being nearby deters him from doing so. Honestly, for being this lane, Petushar is quite happy. What, 90 last hits? Watson has 25. Kind of even.
Yeah, good start.
Considering this good matchup for Char.
Lane will get even easier when he has boots as well, so he doesn't only have to rely on having the timber chain to get him out of dodge. Hook stop baited out by Limitless, who's currently getting body blocked by Smiley Knight with a level 2 spin. Still not enough damage. Arrow is going to prevent anyone from chasing further. Not like they were intending on diving that tier 1 tower anyway, but in case they thought about it. As TSA is immediately going into the urn, almost has enough gold for it here, just needs to arrow one more creep. You should probably head mid lane and make sure Morphling can't push TA's tower though, and just arrow the wagon. A very balanced thing that's still in the game for some reason. Ooh. Can't enchant creep wagons anymore. You can't even wholly persuade them or use Helm of the Dominator 2 on them, whatever it's called now. But you can arrow them and instantly kill them. I don't understand the logic.
It's Helm of the Dominator 3 now. What is it? Helm of the Super Overlord. That allows you to take out Seiyu. Dying here easily. Petushara, we have a Rocket Barrage again available with a Magic Stick, so I don't know if Petushara wants to come in here. Watson will have enough mana for even 2 Rocket Barrages. You still don't have the hood.
Yeah, Limitless is just playing like a bristleback now, just trying to cut the waves here with the Ring of Health. Not really much Vanscoy can do.
First kid almost died actually today. Then he has so many traps set up that Seiyu, yeah, he's gonna start ticking down. No, the trap wasn't set up for long enough, but the damage actually annoying the Morphling a bunch, forcing him to constantly attribute shift. Expecting Dendy to be laying down traps all the time. The Press Kit gets rid of him. Back to the high ground you go. Instead takes the illusion room. So, bottom lane, Petushara, yes, the whole missile might hit. Rocket Barrage available in a second. Petushara used his last little Timber Chain. This Rocket Barrage not fully damaging him here as Petushara can't get away with that Timber Chain towards the end. He has enough tank now to survive.
I might try and enchant TSA, forcing out the leap charge. He's got one more. I think they've probably timed these, but not well enough. As Jug still chasing with the phase. Boots quite fast. TSA not fast enough without the boots. Fairy Fire not enough healing. Healer drop. As the combo finally ends up getting killed. It's not against the Centaur, but they'll take it nonetheless.
Right. That's a kill at least enough. Empire, this top lane was not going too badly for them to begin with, so I think it's just a plus as far as they're concerned. It seems like Smiling Knight is not going to go for Battle Fury immediately though, going for Yasha for build that wall on to fight around Morphling's timing, maybe to speed up the game. We'll see how this works out for them. The Press Kit is certainly, like, he hasn't cancelled Dendy whatsoever, and Dendy has a pretty free game as
Yeah, for sure. Last pick TA, I think it was a good one. And Dendi, of course, with over 2,000 professional games of Dota, has played a couple of TA games. And in fact, he's master tier, so he even plays it in his pubs, enjoys the hero quite a bit.
Is about to flounder.
I think that's a safe assumption to
most
make.
heroes, for Dendi, like, how many heroes do you think?
Oh, interesting, actually. I just failed to, I neglected to mention this earlier, but the Mirana, of course, having the arrow makes Vanscore's game a bit more difficult to play because you can just arrow and insta-kill the big creep that he brings over for you, free gold. So Vanscore, I think that's the first creep I've actually seen him in chance. Normally he's been using it aggressively to try and set up for kills with the spin. But, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So again, that's another weakness of first picking the Enchantress. You can very easily counter it with just a support pick, as Dendi will deny the haste turn away from the Morphling.
A little bit of a chuckle for Tushara. Watson continuing this with the Rocket Barrage. Got it. Watson though, low on HP, has a Fairy Fire. However, Vanscore joined in as well. Impetus. They only really launch one for now. It seems like Watson will be able to get out of here alive. Obviously, for the Centaur. He'll got the help of the Mirana. Nothing to actually really damage. The
that's going to connect onto the Presskid.
With the Meld, he'll be able to finish off the Presskid, and that's going to be 2 kills going the way of Bait, 1 kill going the way of Empire. Action in all lanes.
Yeah, action in all lanes, which is pretty normal, especially when you end up making a rotation anywhere. They scouted Seiyu. Bottom, they saw Vanscore as well, was not present, so they make the play bottom. They react top lane, but Bates, bringing the numbers mid lane, are able to get a surprise arrow there onto the Morph lane. Nice pick off there. He's going for stats, by the way. First item Dragonlance so far for the Morph lane.
I like the kind of hybridish build.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. Might be able to turn here onto Petushar. The Timber Chain doesn't put him that far away. Spirits are connected with one. Trying to turn with a shot from Dan. Doesn't damage. Pinocchio's got too much healing. Eventually will fall to the likes of Vanscore's creep. I think that was a boulder of Pearl his way. They tried to relocate it on time, but that's a very lengthy delay at level 1, and they weren't able to get him out safely.
He still got the kill there in the end, he got experience out of it, so I don't think it's too bad for Bait, but yeah, of course, when you're the thing about Bait, it seems like Watson acknowledges that he doesn't need to be the win condition, sole win condition in this game, allowing Dendi to be more impactful that way, but still going bottom, despite the fact that everyone is fighting him, right? You haven't seen him TP to his triangle yet to try to go for the safe farm, leaving that instead for the TA, which I like. I think this helps a lot Bait's position in this mid game, because they're canceling the main Space Creator, which is Timbersaw, and they'll have their own, I guess, hero or even Space Creator, which is going to be...
And the TA already up to level 10 after the kill, quite an advantage over the Morphling middle. Dendi is opting to go for the Blink Dagger first on the Templar Assassin. Do we have any big stacks for him? It looks like Ancients are stacked quite a bit, and he's got traps down to stack them another time if he wants to. He'll be able to clear those relatively easily. That's going to definitely give him Blink Dagger. I just don't know if he's going to be able to farm it, especially without side blades being maxed. So he's probably going to farm a couple more small camps before he turns around for that. TSA is going to prevent any push bottom as he arrows the wagon, and you can see immediately Say is like, yep, I'm out of here. He turns the arrow up north. Nah, just kidding. Now has the Finger of Death level 6. Would be a good target here for the Mirana. Tushara is going to scare her away a little bit too early, so we're going to have to look elsewhere for a finger kill.
Are you sad? He wants to find literally the first thing that just comes near him, right? Like, he just wants to kill something to make sure that Empire doesn't have to rely solely on the Timber early. Smiley Knight might have to fulfill that role. Very interesting. Smiley Knight, he actually just broke his healing without Stampeders.
Yeah.
And he TP thinking that must be coming for me. Now never relocate. He cancels TP. Smiley Knight thought he could be efficient. Instead, the efficiency ended up killing the Smiling Knight. As Empire lose their game because he canceled.
They're setting up though. They're setting up on the relocate. Morphling's coming, but Tushara's coming. They're all coming to try and cancel it.
Oh no, it's both. That's a huge mistake here by Watson. No fear, should have broken the head of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they just didn't have the vision there. Vanscore was able to scout out where they relocated from thanks to the ward placement. They're going to get a 2-for-1 there, so they lose their core, but at least they do get something in return. As you can see the circle there indicating that Watson's like, yep, they got a ward here, by the way. Nicely done. Petushar probably didn't need to join there. Probably should have instead spent his time pushing the bottom tower, but he can do so now. Not a huge loss of time, as they will lose their tier 1 top lane in exchange. Mid, Dendi. He's got haste. Arrow's gonna just miss both Seiyu and Depressed Kid. I think Dendi's gonna almost finish up his Desolator here already. Wow, he's very rich actually. that was him farming the big ancient stack. That's where that good money came from. Nice gold injection.
And he's doing really well. I mean, this is the standard timing for this combo is like, that's what's fun. Like, oh, he's slowing down Watson, he knows what he wants, there's no relocate available on his line, trying to divide it between them. No Fear, not taking Juggernaut with him, and he does succeed. No Fear gets away with a tether. Okay, good positioning. That was really well played by No Fear. I thought they were dead to the Omni there.
Really, really nicely done. He split it once, but then he didn't move far enough away, so it jumped back to the gyro. So he jumped back a second time. So yeah, really, really good positioning there. And very tanky. Wisp is a very tanky hero. He's a strength hero, and plenty of regen on him as well to start off with. As he will bring the gyro on over the mid lane, where they're trying to get this 2-on tower, maybe force a kill onto the press kit as well, as they do not snap the tether. Arrow's going to connect, they're going to close the gap now. Dendy right in the face with more play. Hooks down to press kit, Stampede utilized there as well to close the gap. Big mech kill, not Watson and No Fear up to full HP, but Smiley Knight with level 4 spin, trying to get this kill onto Watson. No Fear though with too much healing, can't the relocate, getting them out just in the nick of time. As TSA has been left behind. Dendy and Limitless though will be able to clean up Seiyu. And this time they're not going to be able to set up here on the relocating Wisp. Seiyu's going to return, this time with the gyro, not into his death. Another ultimate used.
Stop, catching the Timber. Arrow as well. Timber stop. But the gyro can't move away, and they just murder him in cold blood. They also got the tower mid. Honestly, well played by Bait. That was a really good initiation. And No Fear on the Sayo is styling, straight up.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice sequence of events out from Bates. Just a great fight.
I wanted to point out there was a really good earn by TSA, which calculated exactly when the IO wasn't being hit, and then earned the IO, which just barely kept the gyro alive. Even though it wasn't the most efficient thing, because you actually only get 0.8 of the earn heal. Seeing as IO can actually move around a bit more friendly, the gyro comes to the main target, allowed Hero not to be dispelled, and is what barely kept Watson in the game. Really well played there by TSA on top of that.
I think it's, is level 2 tether 0.9 or is it still 0.8?
0.8, it's 0.8.
Okay. Yeah, that was a pretty big nerf to the support Wisp, not being able to provide a 1.0 of your healing. Instead it gets...
2 times every single level, right? You just
and you would actually, back when you would level stats, you would max tether last even after stats, because there's just no point, really.
Yeah, after they took the stun away, right? Because the beginning stun was OP. And they were, you were like, actually, who cares about that? I think it was the game. They killed this one at Courier, not bad. But Empire looking to kill something a bit juicy. IO gyro combo.
It's just such a hard kill right now, especially with the mechanism that we have up now on No Fear. Just that amount of burst healing. It's like having a Chen plus one. He's kind of going for, I believe, the Whisper method of playing Wisp, just max healing. I think it's almost the exact same build, to be honest.
Like in reverse Miko, if you mentioned.
No, you don't, because really, it's the only reason. I mean, you've said this build to me like 3 or 4 times. Now I'm just like regurgitating it, you know.
Okay.
But Whisper actually sometimes will go for like double tranquil boots on a support Wisp in his pubs. But this is usually what he tries to win with. Infuse range notwithstanding, of course. But first item mechanism, they're relocating bottom. They have Smiley Knight trapped, but are not able to kill him. He just TPs away in time. Sorry. Am I? No leave gyro behind this time. The guy I see always says, whispers wisp.
I haven't seen him.
Dyer's
Completely under press game, by the way. Talking about more itemization as Juggernaut's getting closer to the Future Blade. We're gonna see an old build back in action. I missed this build, the Visual Blade Montas now. It was a classic for the longest time on Jug, because it wasn't even that good a build. It was just, as pros will say, Jug is good, but no build is really that good on Jug. This is the closest thing we have to it.
He does so much damage. He's so rich. Luckily, he's gonna be the first one to break 10k, which is saying something, because he has an IO gyro that are just farming everything on the map. Aegis, no in hand for Dendy. He already has Deso Blink completed. I think earlier, before we got caught off by a fight, you were saying normally a good time is 14. I think he had this at like 12 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. And with the CD rune, he's going to be looking to kill anyone that he can. Empire will do well to stay out of his way for the next couple of seconds.
Alright, well, we're nicely on Bates. What they need to do now is just force him to Dendy. That's they're accomplishing this now. I don't think that Empire can just look at towers easily either, because he needs to mark Juggernaut and more. Even if it's just Timbersaw that's dying here. And honestly, it's the right play as well, right? But at least you gotta force Timbersaw to kill himself, because if you don't even do that, then you will gain power spike. You still have a fair window opportunity to 10 speed, just why you gotta take a chill pill instead go on it, defend the Jungle, stay here a bit too long, and comes in deep, but beautiful Earth Spike there. He's finding the time he needs. He doesn't have his DP in time though, so instead he's just gonna fall immediately to Watson. Andy, look at that, setting up the kill for Watson, so his carry can farm too.
Nicely done. Yeah, and then immediately Watson and No Fear back up to the top lane where they're going to have to wait for a camp to respawn. Unfortunately, they've already cleared everything here. Actually, it's been Petushara who's cleared everything, but not to worry. There's a full creep wave for Watson to just eat up, and this is going to give him just shy of enough money for the Agnum Scepter. So it's going to be an 18-minute tags, Maelstrom for the Shadowcopter, most likely maxed into BKB, and then he's really just going to be quite the beast. And he, I believe, is going to go BKB with that Mithril Hammer. I can't imagine he'd turn it into a Basher, but we'll see. As Petushara's taking just a bit of harassment, the missile's going to close the gap. Even A-OK underneath the tier 2 tower. We don't have Stampede. In fact, we don't have any ultimates right now for base. But if they just walk up the cliff, they might go for the kill. Then he clears the core. Petushara actually has the full Million Defiance. Sorry, the Vanguard. On it. So Timbersaw without the Ring of Health as a quick little D ward there. Arrow is going to just barely skip through a couple of heroes there. The Press Kid, unfortunately, now with Manta Style, not really able to make anything of the Invis rune like he would have wanted to. Thanks to the Sentry wards that they have placed down, and it looks like they're going to make play for tier 2 tower.
I just say tier 2, take over the entire jungle. I mean, that's the entire jungle on Arrow. And you can find the Timbersaw straight. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. For the Timbersaw to do these plays, there's no right play to Petushara. The space made is a necessity. I mean, maybe they want to fight, definitely that wasn't the right play, right? If they want to fight, Petushara should be live. Not that they were just going to let this fall. Apparently not. Oh, stop. Can just go get it one at a time? Yes, they do! Omni/use, but it's still be dividing on 4. Not that much damage for the line just yet. So you has the finger of death, but nothing is low enough for him to actually blow it up. Press Kid did get blown up instead. That was a beautiful stop there by Limitless. What a Centaur player.
Yeah, seriously, really just kind of stomping on this game, and Spade are snowballing kind of out of control at this stage. That's your mid lane Morphlane, who is not going to the shotgun build this game, obviously because it's kind of countered by the Wisp, having the burst healing especially, but they're falling apart, right, at the seams here to Bait. Bendy is about to finish off BKB, but the rest of his team continuing to just push aggressively and removing farm that Smiling Knight is able to actually take over. They block the stack. He comes back to farm this, he's going to find himself in some trouble. Actually went to the Diffusal Blade, like you said, on the Juggernaut, going back into the Manta Style now to try and make something out of this game. TSA was just literally all by himself. He was like, I'm going to arrow you.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them, but Bait doesn't really care because it took the tower. So he can argue and make his space, whatever. He doesn't buy space. The jungle for this build, his farm is really respectable for this build, and he is mid-game oriented, which has meant that Empire actually has a... Like, their contingency plan comes online in the next 2 weeks. Nice. Right, so at least you'll have that, and you'll be able to at least take 1 or 2 fights. The problem is matching the Gyrocopter's farm. The Gyrocopter IO specifically, with a Juggernaut that has that Battle Fury, seems honestly awesome. And Morphling is not really matching his farm either, as the Press Kid is now finally coming online.
Dire structures
and waiting patiently. Now we'll just deal a bit of damage here to Petushara, more than a bit of damage, about half his HP. Before he regens it all up. He's going for the Crimson Guard now on Timbersaw. Just about to finish that one up. Just needs now the recipe, which is a bit expensive, about 1,000 gold. So yeah, they definitely are playing for the mid game here. They'll have a couple of nice defensive items for them, some good buffs on themselves as well. And of course a Blink Dagger on our Lion, Solar Crest on Enchantress, and our Morphling with Manta Style, trying to get this Eye of Scotty up. Really desperately needs this to counteract all the healing that we have here thanks to the Wisp. Relocate. His age is expiring on Dendi, but they feel like they know where Smiling Knight is. He's gonna now be revealed by the ward, but he's too far gone.
Scanning for enemies.
Like, Empire, wow. They don't really know what to do right now, honestly. They need to create space, create plays and kill things, but they're just taking this time to farm, find the plays that they need to, get the right objectives, have complete map control. What can Empire do but snuggle together in the triangle and pray that they don't get caught on?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Limitless has been scouted moving into this position, so they shouldn't get anything out of here. Not a good defensive ward place down, but they're going to lose their outpost. They only have the mid-tier 2 still standing, actually. They've already lost the bottom tier 2 tower. Gyro and Io going through that one relatively quickly. Smiling Knights is going to find a courier for free. That's Limitless' courier down, but he's going to walk right into an Io Gyro. Realizes that he's not very welcome here, and is going to TP away. That's good. That was going to be actually probably the plate mail that Limitless was saving up for. He's going to have to wait a little while longer now. But yeah, I mean, the mid game for your Gyro is going to be pretty nice, especially once he finally finishes up a Manta style. He's got some good burst damage here, thanks to the Manta Diffusal builds. But my biggest concern is that this Morphling has just gotten a decent amount of farm, and now with at least one of the 2 ultimate orbs you need for the Scotty. But until we get that Eye of Scotty up, it's just trivial to kill this Morphling, it seems.
Yep. It's I mean, even with a Scotty, the killing him is not the hard part. The hard part, at least when he has a Scotty, he'll be able to not necessarily survive, but if he goes on you, he'll deal damage, right? Whereas right now, it just seems like Morphling is at the mercy of whatever Bait wants to do with him. Even if he manages to not get caught out first, Bait kills him because he's the hardest hero to kill, but that's, I mean, if he gets away, but he's not really a threat. Juggernaut has been the only threat, as we've seen there, and not even a big one, which has been the problem. I feel like this going for the stats build, though, does give you a lot more reliability when it comes to scaling up, whereas the E-Blade requires kills. The stat build does increase your farming speed every time you get a new item, which E-Blade does decently, but it's based around the kill idea.
They're going to smoke up and look for a fight now down bottom with the haste turn active on Dendi. Dendi, who has, I think, gotten eyes on Smiley Knights. In the call to try for the kill, but he's backing up a bit too quickly here. My Shadow also utilized here. Watson and No Fear just taking this opportunity to farm. We've got now a full S and Y on top of the Aghanim Interceptor. And I believe that's going to be the mask. It's not the Morbid Mask, is what it's called. On the way here for our Gyro, because he's going to be going next item into the Satanic.
Alright. Satanic is really, really useful this game. Actually, especially now that you saw the little Montas, or the Diffusal Blade build. Let's get Purge off the Purge, ironic,
yeah.
with the Satanic, which is actually a really useful thing. Not much else that you want to Purge off, but obviously the healing here is incredible. General and a good way to keep you alive, because it seems like this is going to be the main damage dealer in these team fights still towards the late game, where the Gyro tanks up, survives with the IO, and will be the guy that just draws all the aggro in the beginning of the fight. If you don't deal with Gyro early, you're screwed, but if you also go for it first, you're screwed. Centaur, look at that first stuff though. Oh my god, Danny just blew off! More lion on that shield, but it doesn't deal enough damage. Vanscore will die instead. Has the call that's used by Vanscore, or sorry, by Watson. No, trying to kill him as much as he can. They finally killed No Fear, but in exchange, it might be the press kid's life. Can they blink to him? They do have the ability to do so. Rocket Rush trying to cancel this poor Centaur, and they actually start to murder him after they use the Whirling Death to finish him off. The Morphling after stuck thanks to the arrow, but they have enough damage. Dendi will come in to lay the final damage to kill the Morphling as they try to assassinate here the Timbersaw on top of that. Rocket Barrage with it, but Tushara just a bit too tanky. Watson realizing he has to retreat, has a magic one for mana. Sayu wants to go for the kill on the TA. Doesn't seem as likely. The Blink Dagger's available in 2 seconds. You could still catch Watson. There we go. Watson divides himself from Dendi. That should give it at least Dendi enough space to retreat as Watson. He's just trying to get away. The Timber Chain misses. The whole missile will help him out as well. And Dendi lays down traps. Watson will TP, and Dendi will reach the safety of his tower.
Yeah, good fights for Bates. They do play that a bit too aggressively. They get the Morphling out of it, but Team Empire now have got some pretty serious damage problems, as we can see. They at least get a couple of kills off the tail end of that fight, but I think had Bates played that a little bit more patiently, they wouldn't have given those up. And there's a buyback from Sayu. They're going to go aggressively. 2-man stop up a little bit. They easily burst through Antor instantly. Now he's dead. Tushara seems to be the main target. If we get over to him, he uses Stampede to close the gap. Greater spike yet again. Stuns up Dendi here. Now Tushara being slapped by the Wisp of Spirits. Again, another blink forward from Centaur. Would have probably caught Tushara with a stomp. Just didn't see him in the trees. And it's only going to be Vanscore dropping for the counter engage on Bait. Roshan is up though, ready for the taking. So if Bates, which of course have eyes on this thanks to the trap in the pit, can take this, they still put themselves in a very commanding position this game.
You're very right. this Roshan Shard, are you gonna give it to the PA at a time, the TA? Because silencing seems pretty good against the
He lives in a
No, maybe gonna take it instead.
Time to move.
It was Dendi.
Changes.
Oh, it was Dendi. Okay, that makes sense. I think the silence is gonna be crucial. You get this, and oof, I feel like Timbersaw and Morphling now are much easier kill.
Definitely. It's the same shard as before, wherein it allows you to detonate your traps that also silence.
Yes.
However, whereas before, I think it had a minimum silence time of like 0.3. Now the minimum silence time is 0.1. And now it's significantly increased to 1.5. Arrow is going to catch the shard. Max breaking arrow. Here's Gyro relocated in by no fear, but Trust still alive. Just barely able to escape. Here's all the buffs onto his team with no fear is bursted down, so Gyro's going to have to save. They don't have much damage now. The Omnidash got him to half HP. Dendi as well is low on the mana, and actually Bait are going to be retreating here. The Eye of Scotty up for the press kid, really doing packing quite a punch, along with actually the enchanted quiver he's got.
I feel like maybe the just jumping it, like just getting together and fighting like that was not the best choice by Bait, right? You had the Timbersaw still deals damage to you in an area, so those Morphling, why would you bunch up like that, especially with your IO in the middle of the fray? It doesn't seem necessary entirely. They didn't really have a reference point, and they kind of got surrounded by just trying to find your mid lane. Maybe the solution is just not fighting in the mid lane, but it wasn't the best initiation by Bait. This is why they think they lose their IO. And once you lose your IO, your Gyrocopter is just okay. Like, he's a decent hero, mind you, but you're up against two strong Thors, both of which are pretty good against you for the most part. I would say that Juggernaut and the Morphling will beat the Gyro in the late, unless your IO's with you.
Yeah, I think a big reason why Bait are able to get away with so much of this is because Gyro's just so rich, right? I think if they make that very exact same play and Gyro's got the exact same farm as, say, the Jug or maybe even the Morphling, I think they still lose that engagement, unfortunately. But that's why the Wisp has other benefits here, and they might even look to poke towards high ground. Dendi's got that BKB ready to go yet again. Aegis still in hand for another 3 minutes. 2 minutes, sorry. No, it is 3. I'm wrong. 3. Final answer.
What are you trying? Are you not being able to counter, or did you forget?
No, I just forgot.
Doctor, the cheese is available for him, so I don't think he's too bothered. I guess Satanic as well. Well, BKB to go with the Satanic, so it's not a guaranteed Satanic. I guess the side gunners there.
Wisp has just so much damage, or so much burst healing right now. The opposite of damage. He's got so much anti-damage right now that it's kind of incredible. Mechanism, of course, buffed 35% by the Holy Locket. Buffed to further, now that Tether is max, it's a 1.1, I want to say, multiplication overall.
Not max, is 3 point. Oh, no, he didn't put the point in the stat talent, you're right.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, I was going to say, because you could cover over the Tether thing and see, yeah, level 4. So, yeah, quite the burst healing that you've got. So now it's almost imperative to make sure you can get this IO out of the way first. If he keeps relocating in like he has been as aggressively, that shouldn't be much of a problem for Empire. So I think No Fear ought to be a little bit more reserved in his placements of these relocates.
They can't go in the middle of the team fight unless they catch someone first, right? Like if they did before with the hoof stomp arrow combo, that's fine, right? You kill the Morphling and have it relocate, sure. But if the team fight doesn't go your way, you have to have a contingency plan. Which is often the issue actually with Bait, that they think, oh, we're just gonna keep winning. But there might be a point where you struggle a bit to get the perfect initiation, that's fine, doesn't make you a bad team. You just need to have something prepared if that happens. Side of Bison TA I think is a good start for this because it gives you additional catch. Then he already has a bunch of damage, so I don't really think you need the crystals necessarily. I think you're fine right now. You need the extra cash though to set.
Yeah, 14k net worth, 15k net worth lead now does make this a bit easier for Bait. You can see they're playing a pretty clean late game, just kind of choking Team Empire into their base. This is going to be the case at least until this Aegis expires. Then we may see Team Empire try and make some aggressive movements. That Aegis now on its last legs with its last minute now. We'll see if Bates are going to feel pressure to try and make something happen here, because it doesn't look like Team Empire are going to give them much of an opportunity of making themselves open to an attack. Just going into the base with Stampede, relatively easy to do.
There was a backup plan as well. Just running away, obviously. Vance got the arrow. Yeah, that could be a kill if they want to force this. There they go. Whoa, stop. My advance
No buyback.
He lost the Enchantress. Yeah, you're right. No buyback before the 40 seconds down. You at least keep hitting the racks. The Crimson Guard stops the damage of the Gyro a fair amount, but at least the racks will fall bit by bit.
Aegis is up in 15 seconds now. Let's see if the Empire can do a perfectly timed kill onto Dendi. Again, without fan score, they don't seem too willing to go for it.
It's just not worth it, especially because the Gyro is really leading the way, right? Like, Dendi's staying in the backlines intelligently as well. Because, yeah, if you have Aegis, it seems like you might be the one that wants to go up to the high ground, but in this case, Gyro is the tank. He's the constant damage dealer. You know, he's the hero out of the two. Dendi can just jump in afterwards. He happens to die with Aegis, great. If not, it's just the threat of the Aegis that is already good enough.
Yeah, definitely. Dendi already up to level 21. Now has Meld Dispel, so we got a Dispel as well for Dendi here. Getting rid of probably Solar Crest. Whirling Death is not bad. Not much else he can look to dispel off of himself this game. The enchant, I guess, for the slow is usually really annoying, so that's at least some credit there. This Team Empire currently playing underneath a big ward. Should be de-warded, yeah, pretty much instantly here. Smiley not even standing nearby to make sure that it goes. He's actually farmed up quite a bit of gold as well. Nearly has enough for the Eye of Scotty. As Bait will make an aggressive smoke play here. The trap silencing up Petushara. Nonetheless, not wanting to make the jump. Instead, they're going to go to the triangle where they see Seiyu, but he gets the blink out in time. The trap only connecting onto Petushara there. Smiley Knight forced to leave the Ancients as that he was farming his man score, blocking the arrow with the Wild Wing Ripper. In exchange, he's going to be ripped apart by the Rocket Barrage. Petushara got a little bit too close there. They're going to hit him now with the debuff off the third sensor. Call down, he's going to be 3 heroes. And there's now a 2-man Earthspike on from the Lion. Is it enough damage? No, it's not. Smiley Knight with the Onslaught level 3 is not enough. Dodges one of the auto attacks from Dendi, but the second one is more than enough damage along with Watson. They did at least get the wisp, but only Petushara is going to be alive after Seiyu buys back. He's going to have to blink in, gets a nice 2-man impale. A Hex onto Dendi will not save the life of Petushara, however. That's another buyback here, along with Smiley Knight. Will slow Dendi to a crawl, but he's got plenty of stats of refraction ready to go. Dendi looking to turn, blink dagger in 3 seconds, along with the sight to fight. Might look to go for it, lands the sight here, does not get the opportunity to focus the gap though. Limitless as well, just barely missing, but it looks like the flat cannon damage is not going to be enough either. Juggernaut just barely staying alive, retreating into his fountain.
For that Crimson Guard, if Dendi had realized sooner rather, that Smiley Knight was committing a suicidal play. Like, Dendi has too much respect there for Smiley Knight, because he almost got it. Now there's the ring, there's the reinitiation with the hack. That's going to work out for the Bergoglas. 5-5 Smiley Knight, Vanscore and Seiyu join hands and go to the other side as Petushara. Oh, there's we go. He's not even going to fight. GG is called. Empire will lose game number 3, and we're going to get their second defeat, Bane's second win, meaning both teams are now tied together with first ESL as well. Put themselves very much in the mid-table.
Yeah, huge win for Big today. They really, really needed this. Not only, of course, probably to get the boys...
Dire's middle tower is under pressure.